What would you do if someone broke into your home, threatened your family, and humiliated you in front of your own son, and you did nothing? What if that wasn't because you were scared, but because you were holding back? This is Nobody, a 2021 film packed with savage action, emotional depth, and a man who proves that being nobody might just be the deadliest thing of all. Meet Hutch Mansell, a soft, quiet-spoken suburban dad. He works a dead-end job at a metal fabrication shop, always seems to miss the garbage pickup, gets brushed off by his teenage son who sees him as a weakling, and sleeps next to a wife who barely says a word to him anymore. His life was one long, unremarkable sigh. He was the kind of guy who blends into the wallpaper of life. Nobody sees him, nobody respects him, and no one cares he was there. One night, everything changed. Two desperate thieves broke into Hutch's home. They weren't pros, just sloppy, nervous, and armed. The noises woke Hutch and his son. In the confusion, his son jumped one of them, managing to pin him down. Hutch stood there, frozen. He watched it all unfold. His son was ready to fight, waiting for a signal. But instead of stepping in, Hutch told him to stop and let the man go. The intruders grabbed what they could and left. Hutch didn't lift a finger. And from that moment, everyone treated him differently. His son looked at him like a coward. His wife, Becca, created even more distance. And his brother-in-law hands him a gun like it's a joke. The cops told him that he did the right thing, but they didn't mean it. The neighbors were laughing at him. And Hutch, he just sank deeper into the background, like he barely existed at all. But what nobody knew was this. Hutch chose not to fight. Not because he couldn't, but because he knew he'd do too much damage if he did. Then came the spark. Not the break-in, not the punch his son took. It was something smaller. His daughter noticed her kitty cat bracelet was missing. Probably taken by the thieves. Just a cheap little thing. But that moment did something to Hutch. It stirred something buried deep. Not anger, not sadness, but something colder. And once it surfaced, it didn't settle back down. Whatever part of him had been sleeping was fully awake now. And the man the world thought they knew, he was gone. He pulls a gun out of a hidden drawer, visits his father, a retired FBI agent, and borrows his FBI badge. He tracks the robbers through a tattoo clue, stormed into shady bars, stared down ex-cons, and questioned each and every tattoo artist he could find. And it became clear, this wasn't just some accountant unraveling in a midlife crisis. This man had been trained to find people and to hurt them. When he finally located the couple who broke into his house, he was ready to unleash hell. But then he saw them with a sick baby in the background, and two parents who looked completely drained. They weren't armed killers. They were frightened, vulnerable, and barely keeping it together. At that moment, he understood they hadn't come to hurt anyone. They were just doing what they could to survive. And yet, he walks away more restless than before. The violence was building inside him like pressure in a boiler. He was looking for an outlet, someone who deserves what he's capable of. And fate delivered. That night, he boarded a bus. A young woman was already there, sitting quietly by herself. Then a group of drunk, loud, dangerous men climbed aboard and began harassing her. Hutch watched and breathed deeply, and for the first time in years, he let go. He clears the bus, tells the driver to leave, then calmly turns around and beats the absolute life out of every single one of them. And it wasn't clean. He got stabbed, thrown through windows, and choked out. But he didn't stop. He fought like he was desperate and thirsty for violence, like someone who needed it. By the time it was over, 5 grown men lay on the floor, broken, bloodied, and unconscious. One of them ended up in the ICU. And that one, unfortunately, was Teddy, the younger brother of a Russian mob boss named Yulian Kuznetsov. Yulian wasn't some backroom thug. He dressed like a showman, lived like a king, and craved attention. He danced through clubs, belted out karaoke, and smiled while his men did the killing behind the scenes. But beneath the glamour was a man trusted with the Obschak, a fortune tied to the Russian mob. So when he found out Hutch put his brother in the ICU, he didn't send a warning. He was furious to find Hutch and kill him. Meanwhile, Hutch knew what was coming. His face had shown up on a security camera. The mob was coming for him. And for the first time in years, it felt like the part of himself he had buried was finally breathing again. He sent his wife and kids away. Then he took down the artwork from the walls, opened hidden compartments, and burned old files. There was no fear in him. He welcomed the fight. One night, a group of Russian gunmen invaded his home. They were trained and fast, but Hutch was faster. He killed them all with brutal precision and walked out with barely a scratch. But it was not over. Yulian wanted death. He digs into Hutch's past and finds out what no one was supposed to know. Hutch used to be something the government called the Auditor, the last person anyone wanted to see. When the CIA or the FBI couldn't legally kill someone, they sent him. He wasn't a hitman, he was a ghost with a kill switch. And no one who saw him coming lived long enough to regret it. Years ago, Hutch gave up that life. After sparing a man who reminded him of himself, he chose to retire, start a family, and try to live like a normal man. But now, the quiet life is crumbling around him. He doesn't just wait for Yulian to come. He goes after him. Hutch walks straight into Yulian's nightclub, calmly carrying a fire extinguisher and a claymore mine. He killed Yulian's guards, smashed his champagne bottles, and stood behind bulletproof glass while giving Yulian one final offer: walk away and leave him and his family alone. Yulian laughs and declines the offer. So Hutch took the perfect revenge. He buys the metal shop from his father-in-law using stolen gold bars. He turns the factory into a fortress filled with booby traps, explosives, and hidden weapons. Then he calls for backup, not from the cops, but from his family, his father David and his brother Harry, both trained killers, just like him. When the Russians arrived, it was like setting fire to gasoline. An all-out siege erupted inside the building. Mines detonated, traps triggered, shotguns fired. Hutch used steel presses, rebar guns, and even office furniture as weapons. His father and brother laid down cover fire. Together, the three of them tore through an entire mafia army. In the end, only Yulian was left standing. Hutch charged toward him with a claymore mine strapped to a bulletproof riot shield, pulled the pin, and then everything went silent. After the smoke cleared, Hutch got arrested, but a mysterious phone call got him released immediately. The police know there's something about this man that's above their pay grade. As he walked away, they asked who he really was, and all he says is, "I'm nobody." The movie ends with Hutch and Becca looking at a new house. But just as things seem to settle, he gets a phone call. A voice on the other end asks, "Do you have a basement?" And somewhere else, his brother and father are in an RV filled with guns, driving toward whatever battle comes next. So now the question is, can a man like Hutch ever really leave that life behind? Or once you've been the monster in the dark, do you always stay just one step away from unleashing it again? Comment your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to check out our other deep dives. And if you don't want to miss what's coming next, hit that subscribe button and join us for more.